Hey, 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 hey. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you happen to be hearing my voice. I have something for you today. I have something for you today. And I find that I'm often like, oh, I'm so excited to discuss this topic. And I say that for every show, practically every show. And it's true. Like, how can you be more excited for this one than you are for that? Are you equally excited for the last one you did it? And first of all, so the topic for today, like I feel like I want to give it to you officially, like introduce it. So before I go on to introducing it, I just want to share a little bit about, um, oh look, I just got a notification of my own live. Yay, I like that. Um, as a melanin messenger, as they call a Black person, as a, and I have an issue with the term Black person. I'm going to talk about that in today's show. But to be who you are, to come from the bloodline that you come from, to be the power, like the battery that you are, to be the original source that you are, you hold a kind of power that nobody has been talking to. And as a thought leader, I'm here to share that. And I hope that with each show, it comes through a little bit more that you are immensely powerful. This world cannot serve you. This third dimensional, mediocre, the celebration of mediocrity, the normalcy of mediocrity, it cannot serve the power that you are. And being the power that you are, there's so much that you hold in your spine, in your tissue, and your DNA, and your brain. And before I go into today's actual topic for today and my gift to you, I really want to preface the importance of taking care of your body. Even if, let's say you haven't been up until today, start stretching. Start somewhere. Stretching is a really, really good place to start. There are YouTube videos, free ones, where 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, where you can stretch. Just take time out because this stuff gets stored in your body. This information you have in you, this gold you have in you, this wisdom that's in you, it gets stored and it becomes stagnant, and then you get cloudy brained and you start having joint pains and you start to feel things and you don't know the root why. A lot of it is needing to move itself around. This is one of the reasons why I've made such a commitment to getting physical and consistently being physical, like minimum 4 days a week, minimum. So that's, you can do this in your home, stretching. You can go to a class and do some cardio. There's even cardio classes on YouTube. The point is to really start to feel that feeling of stretching. Like when you stretch like that, how does it feel? How does it feel when you stretch your side like that, right? When you allow yourself to stretch all the way back, all the way back. Oh, how does it feel? When you start to stretch joints in your right? I'm going like this, stretching your wrist, right? What does it feel like when you tighten it up? Ooh, I can even feel things. And then, oh, right. And then what I love about yoga is the way it opens up your heart cavity and really give yourself. I went to yoga last night. Normally I go to classes in the morning. Normally I go to classes in the morning, but I really want to be here with you with makeup. And the issue with going in the morning is, oh, look at that. Oh, it feels so good to stretch. I haven't done my stretching this morning. I'm going to a cardio class this evening, and then what I'll do is I'll get there about half an hour early so I can stretch. But it just, it's such a wake up, please do that for your work. Please do that so you can come from an expanded place as you're showing up with your clients, as you're showing up on video, as you're, and even in your thinking, like when you stretch like that and you breathe, you bring that to your brain. And I'm taking the time to go into this the way I am this morning because it's that important. It changes how I feel throughout the day. It changes how I feel in knowing that I'm taking care of myself. And I really want you to know that. And not only know that, I want you to practice it, like show you know it by practicing it, okay? So send me an email or leave me a comment letting me know that you are committing to, I feel sleepy. I feel like let me get some water. Oh, yes, baby. And I'm also used to working out in the morning because it's a wake up. Like I told you, the working out wakes me up. And since I didn't work out right now, I'm not riding on that right now in this moment. And then I'm also aware of the gift that I'm getting ready to give you. And how much of me feels like this show and what I'm getting ready to give to you is not enough. Because of the richness, because of the depth, because of how old and how much content exists between the original, the core, the beginning, the root, until now. So my gift to you is having highness for Blackness, respect for Blackness, and a respect for your bloodline. Respect for Blackness and respect for your bloodline. Much of the content that I share and will be continuing to share does not exist in the dominant consciousness for who Black people are. The content that I'm sharing is coming from an original place. The root of who we are. And as I speak this, I'm aware that I speak this into an atmosphere. You know, I'm creating as I'm speaking this into an atmosphere that is rife with negativity as it relates to Blackness, that is rife with poor conditioning as it relates to Blackness, that is unintelligent, unclear, foggy as it relates to the highness of Blackness. And so as I speak and what I know as a thought leader, as a Black person, as a Melanin Messenger, as a chief master, as a leader, as a knower, as a seer, what I speak is in direct opposition to the status quo as it relates to Blackness. It's in direct opposition. The dominant consciousness that's circulating around most people's minds. And when I say most people, I mean globally, not even just the United States. There is the belief, even if a person smiles and plays nice and acts civil and all that, wants to collaborate with you maybe because they know that you have a thing that they don't have. There is a very strong unconscious belief that Black is inferior. I partnered with a woman, a European woman last year, and I respect her greatly. I believe in her. Was very excited for us to collaborate on this multi-month project together. She traveled to Paris for us to prepare and have meetings and work out some details. I traveled to her country for us to prepare, have meetings, do some video, professional photography to go onto the website for this multi-month project that I really felt would be bigger than us. I told her this. I said, this project will be bigger than us. It will be huge. And I'd known her prior to us coming together as partners. I'd known her for over a year. And when I traveled to her country, she picked me up from the airport. And somehow we got to talking about Black people. Now, keep in mind, in Europe, most of their experience with Black people is with African people, because African people travel oftentimes out of Africa up to European countries. So you'll find a lot of Africans in Italy, in London, in many of the European countries. And so she was talking to me about the way Africans are talked about on TV in her country. And she had also met with another African woman that we know mutually, that we met through our networking. And she was talking about what the experience was like meeting her, sitting down with her and meeting her. And she transparently, right, I really appreciated this, but she shared transparently with me a lot of her discriminating thoughts and her limited thoughts about particularly African people. As far as I'm concerned, when she says African people, she's talking about all Black people, as far as I'm concerned. And there was no surprise in what she said to me, because I'm already of the knowing that the average, whether it's a European person who was born and raised in Europe or an American white person, all of them, because of the conditioning, the global wide conditioning, like, you gotta feel me on this. The global wide conditioning of who Black people are is inaccurate. So you have millions of people, white and otherwise, and Black people too. Everybody is falsely conditioned around who Black people are. Oftentimes when they think about Black people, they think about slavery, and that's it. When you, let's like, for a moment, right? This is not to disrespect, but for a moment, take slavery and put it off to the side as if it didn't exist, right? And this is no disrespect at all. I just want to create some context here. Take slavery and put it off to the side as if it didn't happen. Who were Black people before that? Who were we before that? Before this 400-year, wow, what is the word? Atrocity. This 400-year atrocity. Who were we? What were we? And now, this could become really long, so I'm being mindful of how deep I go here. I'm not trying to go too long. Africa has everything that we need to live, and everything that allows us to grow and to even have the things that we have today. I mean, just one example, this smartphone that I'm on right now, and all the smartphones in the world. For those of us who have laptops, for those of us who have iPads and other like gadgets and things like that, there is a mineral that can only be found in Africa that goes into the screens on these devices. Did you know that? And did you know that there's an female Asian billionaire who has the control or access to this particular mineral that she can only find in Africa? And she would not be able to be a billionaire if she didn't have that mineral that goes into these screens that billions of people use every day, that comes from Africa. Do you know that there are rivers and lakes in Africa that literally the locals go to find gold and diamonds? And that white people who have discovered this have then shot the local people, and not to kill them, but to harm them, so they go back to the village and tell the people, if you go to that river, you'll be shot, so don't go there? Do you know that this is where we come from, like all the resources? Do you know that we are the creators of the maths and the sciences? Do you know that every Black person is, like, all people are descendants of these people? And that the only reason these colors exist is because of migration? So all of the conditioning, I mean, and I could go, that is not even the tip of the iceberg. I'm getting you to see the richness, the music, the sciences, the way of communicating before actual, like, language was created, the way of communicating, the creative ways of communicating that existed before we started talking the way we talk now, or the way we even started talking 2,000 years ago. The kind of mind that was able to create the pyramids, like, people still can't even believe today. When white people discovered pyramids, they couldn't even believe that the local people had did that. There was such a disconnect because of the level of intelligence that it took to create that, and other structures too that aren't as popular as the pyramid or the Sphinx. And there's a whole other history that I'm not going to go into now, but is worth your time to investigate. The level of wealth and the level of power that existed in Africa. And when white people, and they became white because they, there was the migration. And remember, this is centuries in the making. So, be bigger in your thinking, okay? The first migration of Africans out of Africa was up to China, what is now called China. It wasn't called China at the time. It was just land, and there was migration. And then migration off into these other places, okay? And, as time went on, as centuries went on, and there were empires in Africa that were ruling and had more wealth than anybody in the whole wide world. Intelligence, the creation of math and sciences, empires, math and sciences. There were empires, and white people, you can call them British people, and other folks who were, and this is debated, right, about cave, Neanderthal, like all these different expressions that have been used. But to simplify it, I'll just say white people who somehow found their way back down to Africa and was like, who are these people with all this wealth, with all this creation, with all these riches, with these empires? What is this? And there's different stories. And this is why I said, and I have said many times on this show, that so much has been convoluted, not even about how the demise of African empires, but the actual contributions of women in the world. I mean, you can even go read The Descent of Women. It's a 4-part series. Go watch it. It was on Netflix, and then it came down, and then I had to go look for it on the internet. But even on there, she talks about the violent, aggressive, consistent action on men's part to keep the stories of women out of history, about women who had an impact, and when they died, they didn't even get the respect of a correct burial, or to get the way that men would be revered and would have their names placed on buildings and on their stones. Like, women wouldn't even get that, the way they would punish women who would come out. So this is historical, repeated offense of convoluting stories, removing facts, creating a new story that's in favor of a white person or white culture or white people. And so the actual story we'll never really know. That's what I believe. We'll never really know how the demise African empires happened. And I know a master who says from his own deep, like internal blood intelligence, he believes he has a story about what he thinks happened. And I would love actually for him to come and share that publicly, because when he said it, I said, "Oh my God!" There were just so many connections with the Caribbean, like Haiti. Because remember, there was, passages. Here I go, right here I go, really getting into it. But okay, so suffice that to say that every human being is born from African people, right? That we know as a matter of fact. All people, all people, all people, not just Black people, all people are descendants of African people, right? And so here we are, those of us who have remained, um, uh, those of us who are Black today. And right, we fast forward centuries and centuries and centuries. We fast forward. And yes, there has been slavery in European countries. And yes, there has been violence and, pillaging and, right, hunger, right? Yes, there has been plenty of that over the centuries. Yes. And chattel slavery, people always are like, well, whenever there's a conversation of race and all that, and keep in mind, this is not even to talk about race, and this is not to talk about this. This is really to give way for where this highness and respect for Blackness even comes from. What do I mean by that? So, painting the picture of original, right? So, meaning Africa, there could be no Thailand, no America, no Canada, no Hawaii, no Australia, no Spain, no France, no Italy, no Germany, no Poland, no China, there could be none of that had there not been Africa first. Like, get some perspective, okay? And so here we fast forward to 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, right? Where chattel slavery happens. And also defining the difference between chattel slavery and all the other slaveries and indentured servitude, because that's what typical slavery has been before the 1500s. There was indentured servitude, where you went to go work to pay off a debt, right? And I'm going much further into this than I intend, but it's just all connected, and it's kind of hard to pluck out, and give what's relevant, what's not relevant, or it's all relevant in context. So chattel slavery was about dehumanizing. So American chattel slavery was about conditioning the Black mind. Follow me. Chattel slavery in America was about conditioning the Black mind and about dehumanizing Black people. This is not what was going on in indentured servitude and slavery prior to this, okay? Go do your homework if you're not sure about that. And so what we have in this country is 400 years of active, organized, consistent, structured dehumanizing and conditioning of the Black mind. So just take that in. For 400 years, like, the mother of your child is raped in front of you as a Black man. Your children are taken from you. You're separated from your grandmother. You aren't even allowed to learn the language, right? Like, and I can keep go on and on and on and on and on. Like, really take that in, right? And people love to talk about the Holocaust. Somehow that's okay to talk about. So let's make a comparison with that, right? I don't remember how long the Holocaust lasted, but we know it wasn't 400 years. We know it wasn't 50 years, right? So if you just look at time of intentionally, remember, it was written into the laws. Take this in. It was written into the laws that Black people were not human. Take that in. It was written into the law. Like, how do you as a human decide? Like, that's a whole other mind fuck, right? And so you have this going on for 400 years, and then all of a sudden, it's decided that you are human, you are free, you are right. Where does the reconditioning happen to return a person to their natural state? Because just because it's signed that, oh, you're free now, you're human, you can vote, you can, whatever the thing is, you can have land, you can, my mind, I've been conditioned already that I'm not human, that I'm subpar, that my family is subpar, that people like me are subpar, that, I don't have any power here. I can't think, I'm depending on you to tell me what to, like, so where does the reconditioning to come back to the truth of who you are happen? So then you have all these brainwashed folks who keep having kids, millions of black people who have been conditioned to think that they're subhuman start having kids. And then they teach the kids what they know. And then those kids grow up to still behave the way their parents did. And then their kids have kids. And then in the meantime, there's all these things in place and the inbred into the American functioning, just the way we do everything, the way we hire, the way we sell land and homes, the way we navigate the schools we go to, where we live. Like, all this is inbred into the system. Like, stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. And there's all these things that are instituted to really, like, remind you that you really aren't anybody of importance, right? Jim Crow and lynching that increased exponentially when blacks were freed, the, just the aggression, the violence, the demise of Black Wall Street, the dropping of heroin and crack, right? Right? My heart and my chest is starting to hurt. Give me a minute. Oh. So you can see after all this happens, and it is happening, and then bring it to modern day, but modern day 2019. And there's almost like a kind of permanent amnesia and a daily cognitive dissonance to be in a vibrational space, right? Meaning, like, the culture, the way it is here, that has said for centuries that people who look like you are inferior. And yet, to have it in your soul and your blood, for those of us who have slowed down enough and have gone deep down inside oneself, where you are able to relax the tension from your body and breathe a little more deeply than normal. And get into that place where you start talking to God in a way that might even be rare, like, depending on your relationship with your God. And you just know that you are a descendant of a ruling class. You just know, even in the face of 400 years of you're subhuman, you're inferior, you're nobody. Like, even in the face of all that, there's something in you. It's just this real, and that just knows that all this out here is a lie, and what you know inside is the truth, and that you are so great. And I'm not talking about like trying to be cute great or Instagram great. I mean, it's in your blood. And that the cognitive dissonance is to, on the one hand, have this highness running through your blood every day, and the exterior world telling you something that's in complete opposition to what's running through your blood. This is why my royalty program exists, to recondition the mind. This is why ooh, it's time for us to remember. It is time for us to remember. And this is going to be, okay, I'm creating as I'm speaking, so let me be mindful right now. As focused and dogged and aggressive and organized and structured and consistent and united that white people were to condition our ancestors and our parents' parents' parents to believe that they were inferior. The level of aggression and order and consistency and unity and planning and investment that they engaged in to condition our people, we must double that planning, structure, unity, focus, consistency, to recondition, to restore that which is already there that we forgot. All you got to do, and this is not to oversimplify, right? But this is just to say, all we have to do is to return to that which is true. That's all we got to do. There's no make-believe here. We're not making anything up. It's already in us. It's already in us. It's already there. That white woman Jane, who I talked to y'all about earlier this week. That white woman Jane. She said on the Red Table Talks with Jada Pinkett that they, talking about white people, cannot afford for you to know who you are. Take that in. They cannot afford for you to know who you are. What I know is that the universe bends for those who command it. The universe, it's a law, it's a spiritual law. It is what it is. You can debate it, you cannot even believe it, but it's true. When we, en masse, decide to remember the highness that is already in each and every one, it's already there. It's why we are drawn to queen images, Black queen images. It's why there's a kind of waking up that happens when we are placed in environments that speak to the highness of who we are. It's why I have my VIP days in 5-star hotels. It's why when I travel and I have my retreats and other gatherings that's in 5-star environments, is to wake up that which is already there. It's to clear the, what's the word? Anyway, remembering is the word that is like really coming through right now. Remembering the amnesia. It's like clearing the fog of amnesia and remembering, my royalty program exists to restore that which is true, to recondition the mind and to remember. To remember. When you remember, you show up in your knowing, and the reverence of Blackness, and the highness of your blood, and the power and the strength of your blood. So as a melanin messenger, then you command the fees. See, and okay, I'm not gonna go off because I could really go off into that. That's a wealth consciousness topic. Perhaps I'll talk about that next week. But the commanding of 20,000, 50,000, your ability to walk into a room and get people to bend and get in line. Get in line. You know, I'm going to say this and I'm going to wrap up because I'm already at 35 minutes. But my sister and I were having a conversation about, you know, there's always the things that are heartbreaking in the media about what's happening to different Black people, you know. We were talking about there was an issue in Atlanta, I think it was, where there were some Black women in Target who were having a conversation, and then a white woman who was hearing the conversation, like, inserted herself into the conversation, and somehow it turned around where she was telling the Black women, yeah, you guys are professional liars. That's why it was ugly. She was saying something totally inappropriate and rude and just, it was a mess. And my sister was like, see, they know who to do that to, right? They know who to do that to. And I was like, as I said to her in response to that, the more of us who come into our power, the less of us they will do that to. Because there's truth in that, and I'm not going to break that down right now. But there's a thing that I notice about myself, that when I walk into any room, I can go to a coffee shop, I could go into a business room, I could go anywhere, because I know who I am, people show up accordingly. And then I'll watch another person who is emanating and not knowing who they are. It's in their vibration. There's a level of inferiority, which unfortunately too many of us have inside. Like on the outside, we might play confidence, but we actually have a vibration in us that says inferior. And I'll watch a person who's walking around with a subtle vibration of inferiority, and they'll get a different kind of treatment. And then if someone, you know, anyway, here I see, this is a lot. This is a lot. This is why I said in the beginning, I'm being mindful that this video is just not enough. So, as in closing, I am going to be thinking about, like, next week is going to be talking about the deserving part, the wealth consciousness. I'm going to really go into wealth consciousness from the Black perspective next week, because, you know, I was speaking with a Melanin Messenger a few days ago who's in Florida, and she used to be a client. And I remember we sat down for a session, and she said to me, Naima, what are we going to do about this financial matrix that Black people are in? She said that to me years ago. What are we going to do about this financial matrix that Black people are in? And now she's doing her thing. She's on TV. She's helping folks get their credit together. She's helping folks invest in real estate. And so there's a lot of work to be done, and really it's coming back to remembering who we are. So my royalty program, it's a year long. It's, oh God. You know, I'm going to do a video just on that. Like, I think, yeah, I'm going to talk a lot more about that next week, because I feel rushed because I'm already at 40 minutes and I don't want this to be any longer. So I welcome your comments. I welcome your emails. If you have questions about the royalty program, you can even go follow me on Instagram, because details are there. At Naima Singletary on Instagram, at Naima Singletary, at Naima Singletary, at Naima Singletary on Instagram. If you have questions and you want to be interviewed to be a part of the royalty program, we're going to be traveling to Positano as part of the year-long curriculum. We're going to be traveling to Positano and St. Tropez. I could say a lot about that. And so you're welcome to email me if you'd like to be interviewed to see if it's a good fit for you and to ask me questions. And I welcome your comments here on this video. So share this if you have found value, and be here next week. I'm going to have the whole agenda for next week. It should be up by Monday morning at the latest. Okay, so you can come back here to the channel, subscribe if you haven't already. So then I think you'll get notified when the agenda for the whole week goes up, no later than Monday, okay? So, this is a lot.